Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our run as Krakow, now formed by Poland last episode after a little bit of a fight with Russia. We also reformed our power block because we just weren't getting enough cohesion or mandate progress from what we were doing with the other central identity pillar. I forget the ideological union. I think that Trade League, its main advantage, or one of its main advantages, is that you can accumulate mandate really, really easy. I think the ideological one is maybe actually a little bit hard, or is not one you want to do in conjunction with having a lot of subjects, because I think that in general it will be hard for you to gain mandate because they have to have similar ideologies to you, and it requires more slow, methodical expansion rather than willy-nilly subject acquisition, because you want to force them to adopt the same ideology as you and then change them over. We are hoping to do something with China, with those, forcing them to have industrialists, and then forcing those industrialists to change their laws onto having no migration controls. But we have at least the Heavenly Kingdom as a subject, and but as a subject, I mean as a pop battery. We will siphon off Han pops from them. In fact, we might be doing that a little bit now. They are going to Polish Gabon, Ecce, Silesia, and West Prussia, so we are siphoning off some amount of migrants from them, at least at this juncture, and it should be even more if we decide to go for the principle for freedom of movement. A power block is looking in okay shape, but I think what we're going to do now is we're going to go after Germany now for return state on East Prussia, because we don't have a truce with them, and we're starting to feel a crunch of time. We only have 29 more years to both form Poland, Lithuania, and then do whatever the journal entry for Poland, Lithuania is, which we don't even know what that is. So we're going to look to return state on this. They will not accept, but maybe we could get them to back down. But we do see very promising. Austria has a very strong preference for us, so we might be able to return state for Austria, because Austria now, unlike most of the game, is actually loyal towards us, so that we have good relations with them, and so they might join the war in exchange for return Moravia, so, you know, slowly raking back pieces of Germany for Austria after Austria had a very, very rough start, which is why they're a minor power and our subject, of course. So something we are considering is that with central planning, we could go command economy, and maybe we go it just to try it out. I'm not sure how good it is. It gives, the thing you get from this is plus 40% government dividends efficiency. With this 5% that you get over here, you will have a base of 70%, and then the government dividends, I think some of them are going for reinvestment. So the amount of money that's getting annihilated from the economy is not quite as bad as I had initially thought or talked about in the Qing run. So here we can see we're getting government dividends here. We have government dividend efficiency of now 30%. So if we unpause and take a tick, this should hitch up because it just got increased by 20%. Yeah, so moving from 25 to the other one, a little bit higher. So we will get up to 70% with this law in place. And I think there's one more, if we go command economy, I think there's one more source. I think it might be this one, 5% government dividends efficiency. I don't think we have it on there. And so you can get up to 75%, which should be kind of okay. And we are in like a super position to do command economy, because obviously we have we're not right now because we have 2 anarchists, but once the anarchists are dead, or once we replace this guy, but this guy's so good because he's cautious, once we do that, we might be able to do something, get something done. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look through these guys, which is we're looking for someone who is a vanguardist, I think, because I think only vanguardists like the swap off of Council Republic. We don't see any vanguardists. So what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to, if we want to make this switch, which I think might be a fun little test, we're going to have to specifically look for a general or an admiral with vanguardist, and try and get them to be our only popular trade unionist. I think this is going to be kind of how we can maybe do this. This guy's not very popular. He shouldn't be popular. He'll be not popular once he loses this, but for admirals, we don't have a single trade unionist, and we should be able to get a lot of trade unionists in. We have some amount of rural folk guys, but we could also look for, I think you can roll vanguardist and rural folk, and it looks like all of our rural folk are unpopular except for this guy, so we can also be looking for a vanguardist in there. This war should be super straightforward, but the really interesting thing for us, from our perspective, is if we could sway in Austria for war goals, and we can trade them, sway them in with return state, giving them back Moravia. This will give us no infamy, will be fantastic for us. It will also make it a primary war goal, and so now they should be kind of a little uncertain about things. We'll put in some other war goals, but probably nothing that accumulates any infamy. It seems like the cost of military goods has gone up considerably, and I don't remember exactly when they did this. We might have to actually rake back some of the supply mobilization options, because these are kind of expensive. Let's come off of luxurious supplies. Was not quite... Yeah, maybe we're not even ready for this war. Oops. You can see our GDP went up by like 4 million just by us mobilizing, which is an indication of a huge increase in government spending. We could also pause construction, but we don't want to do that, so maybe we delete a little bit of construction. So, good old Brazil has a revolution, and they come back into our bosom as well, in addition to Chile, so everything's looking pretty good. Just kind of look at our market. It is expanding quite nicely. Of course, it kind of looks better from the power block perspective. We are getting sweeping influence in multiple areas, and in the power block sphere of things, we are kind of cranking up on our principles. We could add to construction. Construction 1's really where the value's at. Internal trade is maybe one we would want to upgrade here, because this would help us get more convoys, giving an additional 10% convoy contribution, as well as the companies. The company throughput bonus is actually pretty good, because what we can do is whenever we see a particular type of company in our subjects, we can build it up. The problem is our subjects are revving because they're kind of revolutionary, or they have a lot of revs because they generate a lot of radicals because they're not particularly loyal. So I think what we're going to do is instead we are going to come in and we are going to go for the good dealsies, the freedom of movement, which is going to increase the migration quota, but really it's the level 3 that has the big payout in the increased exchange, which gives 20% migration attraction. Right now it applies globally per level, giving you like thousands of extra migration attraction if you have enough states for this. But I assume by the time this is on the live patch, it's not going to be like that. But in either case, I think we're going to submit this. Wait, why are we... That's illegal. What? We accidentally messed that up. We were meaning to add a new principle, not replace our old principle, but also you're not supposed to be able to replace your central identity thing. So, alright, we'll put in a report on that one. So we've finally done it. We've finally gotten a really good spot and gotten a bankroll sway from a GP. This is the first one we've had this entire run. This play pattern is really strong in 1.6. It's significantly nerfed in 1.7 in that it's a lot harder to get them to be willing to give you a bankroll. But this is really good for us for several reasons. One, France was antagonistic towards us and was damaging relations, and now they're genial. And we're going to not only get our positive relations through from improving relations, but we're also going to get the ticket positive relations from the bankroll. So this is really huge for resetting everything, but also we're going to be able to weaken them from the bankroll and make ourselves so much stronger. It's going to make an enormous difference because we're going to get like 100k from a Diplo Pact. We're going to be able to go up to probably 600-700 construction, and we're really going to turn a corner here. Like this might be where we start passing everyone up. We're still quite a bit behind the USA. The USA really cranks up kind of on this patch, but France is going to get pulled down by this. They're going to stagnate off the back of this. We're not like so huge that they're necessarily going to go bankrupt, but this is going to be a huge uptick for us, kind of as we are getting a little bit close to this truce coming up. We also just loaded an autosave because in order to fix this here, because you're not supposed to be able to override your one of your central identity pillars principles, is my understanding, and we certainly didn't mean to swap this in on internal trade. But what we're going to be going for now is going to be going for this freedom of movement end node thing, which we should get in about 2 years. or 3 years-ish. We're accumulating progress at a pretty good clip. We just need to get a little bit higher, so we're probably going to improve relations or build stuff in Dynam or something like this. One of the reasons that Dynam is getting an independent thing is they keep revving, and the revs are taking away our ownership of the buildings, if I'm not mistaken, and that's kind of a bit of a problem for us. I think we've built some of these things, and we see that they are no longer... Oh, well, actually, no. Poland still owns this. I don't know exactly... it's unclear to me how that mechanic works, because it does seem to be that revs are sometimes killing levels that are foreign. Maybe they're just buying it with money, in which case we're getting refunded the money at least. I don't know. Something I wanted to point out is that I think as a consequence of the game actually going much faster, we've been misplaying a lot more, I think, on this run. And I just wanted to point out one of the mistakes that I've made is I forgot to expand the universities like way forever ago, so we're doing that now. Probably, I mean, to be fair, we shouldn't have expanded them that much until we are at maybe 150, 200 construction, but we hit 200 construction in the late 1890s, I think, or 1890-ish, and at that point we should have gone up to 31 or 51 on our university in the capital, and we didn't do that, so that's a little bit of a leak. But I think that now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going for this Grando, which we need in order to form Poland Lithuania. It is going to cost quite a bit of infamy. I'm not sure if we are going to get infamy discounts on their other states that they have, and taking them out should be fairly easy, so we're just going to go for this here, and we will have a bit of a play. We're expecting Russia to side against us, and then we can pick up these three, but if Russia doesn't side against us, then we should have just a fairly straightforward thing. We'll put it, well, what we'll do is we will conserve our maneuvers for now, but then we'll put in a bunch of maneuvers kind of towards the end if it's looking like Russia's not going to side, to hopefully just make them back down. That way we don't have to fight this, although this is kind of a trivially easy war to win. Okay, so while we were fighting this Belarusian war, of course it's now 1.7, so once you have a war pop off, you could declare another war, as long as you don't have a play brewing. So we declared on Russia as well for the 3 states we wanted, because they didn't end up joining, which is going to be really nice for us. We made a bunch of this stuff primary that was not the infamy accruing ones, because we of course want to, we don't want to add these as primary, we don't want them to back down, because then we don't get refunded the infamy, and so if you make a larger proportion of the overall play primary, they're less likely to back down, so that's the main idea. And we lived Ukraine, because I think that we're probably going to have to take parts of Ukraine, and so it'll be easier if we have to peel stuff off of 2 different countries, like Belarus and Ukraine, than off of 1, and it also weakens Russia tremendously. We also humiliating Russia. This one's more important to be, we meant to put, damn it, I misclicked. I meant to put Russian war, we already had Russian war reparations. Well, I didn't mean to have Spanish war reparations in there. We could still get Spanish war reparations over here. We maybe should have returned state that. I just didn't want them to back down over it. But we also managed to get France to join on our side here for a treaty port, which is kind of just a nothing for us. And so this is going to be really nice. We also have a trade agreement with France now, so everything's coming up on the France front. But unfortunately, the UK was a little naughty bit somewhere, and so the UK, we no longer have cordial relations, which is a bit unfortunate. So I think that what we'll do is we'll actually rake back some of this, some of our Diplo here, and try and improve relations. I think Ottomans is probably a lost cause. I think they're never liking us back. They'll never return our affections, but we really don't want to lose having a genial relationship with Great Britain, who, to be fair, is scared of France, which is a big part of this why. And so I think that we want to keep these 2 guys on our side, and so this war should be really easy. We conscripted before we were able to sway in France, so we're going to have way more conscripts, way more power than necessary. We maybe have to up taxes in order to kind of withstand this, but I think we're in a high enough bracket that we can probably afford to do this, and so this should be pretty straightforward, and we'll just beeline the capital, and it should be an easy war, along with the Belarusian war ending soon as well, which is actually, I don't know if this is going to split this into 2 fronts once the Belarusian war is resolved. We also have this massive war, or this massive conscript army, which it looks like some of it might have been conscripting up like naughty where it shouldn't be, but they'll take the war goals here, which will help us enforce a little bit faster. and we get that there. And is this one front? It looks like it's one front, thank God. So that'll be nice, but they'll push up here into Ingria. So we managed to dust up the war. I think they have the bug where if you conscript out of one army, it's conscripting out of all of them, and we even went out of our way to sort the armies by province so that this wouldn't happen, because my impression of the bug was that it would just raise an entire province worth. But we had this army that we hadn't even raised that just magically got a whole bunch of conscripts in it, and so it's not ideal. It wasn't this army either, the magical conscript army that's meant to scare people. It was some of the other armies, but we'll fill this guy up, or we'll fill the conscript armies up, but it was a little bit buggy. And in that, we very nearly, well, we did get into default, but we very nearly went bankrupt. We will be not in that sort of position here, and we get the second advent position, where we will get Polish pops become loyalists, minus radicals from discrimination. I think that this gonna be, I think, well, okay, plus radicals from discrimination. We have no discrimination, and a ton become more loyal. We'll definitely do that, and we will be forming Poland, Lithuania, because now we have all the states for it, and it will also not be disgustingly border guarded. So we'll form Poland, Lithuania. We'll say a glorious union. It, of course, looks very glorious, and then we will unlock the journal entry, if I'm not mistaken, for Tibetan expedition. No, for the, where is it? We should have expanding the Commonwealth, and so this should trigger, this should activate in just a second here. The new Commonwealth. The Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania has been restored, undoing decades of subjugation and partition. While the Polish and Lithuanian people now enjoy freedom from Russian and German rule, we must consider whether we extend our dominion to liberate Ukrainian and Belarusian lands as well. I think we will restore all of them. We'll get claims all over the place. And okay, this is perfect that we liberated Ukraine, because we will be going for Ukraine in just a second here. And I'm assuming this journal, expand the Commonwealth, we need to control all of Minsk, Kiev, and at least 7 Polish-Lithuanian states are Ukrainian or Belarusian homeland. And so I guess we just have to kind of wait 5 years and then go after these guys and clap some cheeks. We could probably do it all in each of these, can do it in one war, as long as we have our cautious boyo with us, who has been very, very useful for decreasing the infamy that we get. He's been decreasing the infamy we generate by roughly a third, because while he gives minus 20%, the fact that we already have a minus 25% modifier means that we are currently paying 70%, and taking 70% down to 55% is a reduction of roughly a third of the infamy that we're generating, which is why we really don't have that much infamy, even though we just took several states. To be fair, we had claims on some of those, so this guy will be useful. Also, do we have, yeah, we do, we have a mandate available, so we will tick up on this, which will give extra mass migration attraction. I think after this, we might even be kind of in, we might be in contention with the USA in terms of mass migration attraction. I still think they will probably have us beat. Yeah, they do. So does Argentina, Chile, but we're up to 68, unless the modifier hasn't applied yet, which it might not have. We just give it a cheeky Monday, and we are up to 69. Nice. So we will, after we get the next thing, though, we will really crank up and have an enormous amount of migration attraction once we get the next power block mandate, which will be in 10 months. But right now we're in really good shape. The bankroll, oof, look at this, look at us go. Oh, it's because we're not constructing. Terrible. It was very terrible. But after we get that, yeah, the military goods are so expensive, which is actually makes look how much we were paying. We were paying 500,000 in military goods. That represents half of our expenses when we conscripted. That's wild as hell. Man, did they, I feel like they just patched so I feel that there was we did the China run on the previous patch, and I think since then they actually increased military goods prices by a lot, which makes the China modifier and the China strategy way better, but we didn't get to do it on that patch, which is a bit unfortunate, because look, like, that's half of our expenses were military goods there, which also means we actually just can't conscript up like ever. If the conscript bug is in place with our current conscription edict, like, we just get buried if we ever try and mass conscript or full conscript. We also do have telephone exchange, so what we can do is we've been slowly slowly finding places with bad tax, and we've been upgrading them to using telephone switchboards in order to solve our bureaucracy problems. I think we'll give this Warja a couple of these, and Warja also, we will build, I think, there's a company here, I think it requires either 3 steel mills, or it requires 3 tooling workshops. I can't remember which. We'll just build both just to be safe. They'll build pretty quickly despite the turmoil because we have so much construction efficiency. We have some from our block. We have some from our company as well. And then, we have a little bit from this. We have this, of course, having the steel company also gives 33% construction. So overall, even though there's a huge malice to construct... Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, there's a little bit of a malice to construction. We could still construct it pretty fast. We'll also incorporate all this territory. Very nice. Alright, here's where the fun begins. Remember when our mass migration attraction was 69? Well, let's take another look at it now before we absolutely crank it up. So we're going to click Ledger, we're going to go in, and we're going to look, hey, what's mass migration attraction? What's it at? What's it at? What are we looking at? And we see, oh, it's 64. You know, that's kind of okay. That's reasonable. We're getting some mass migrations. You know, it's pretty solid. Let's take a look at our power blocks. Freedom of movement. All right. Well, let's slot this in. This is going to give plus. This is not going to give an additional mass migration attraction modifier, but it's going to give us increased exchange, which is going to apply another modifier. Which, unless they patched it very, very recently, if we take a look here, okay, we're at 37. Yeah, okay, that seems reasonable. That seems reasonable. Did they patch it? Oh, they might have patched it. Oh, thank God they patched it. Okay, well these 40 or these 20% modifiers, these were applying globally, so you get plus like 2,000%. And now they do appear to be applying correctly, and it's only giving you know, an additional 40% off the universities, which is great. This is probably what it should be. It's already a really strong modifier. Man, my sarcastic intro to talking about this now seems really stupid. But if we do see, this does take us up to the very top level of mass migration attraction without needing to use any sort of edicts. Some of these are also really pulling down our average in a really substantive way. But we should now be getting the lion's share of the mass migrations, especially because we accept all the pops. And so we should see this line be going up quite a bit more on top of, you know, us annexing land and taking stuff. And so this will really enable the crank up. Also, it's going to make us adjust our strategy a little bit. We probably didn't push wood as much as we should have in the intro, and now we're kind of already starting to push a little bit more, but I think we'll just max out the wood everywhere. It is starting to get a little bit laggy. I think that's caused by you having a lot of subjects you can invest in when you open the menu, but we'll just fully crank these out, and then we'll also go for full on the fishing wharves, because all of these cost 200 construction and de-peasant quite quickly, and so it'll be useful for giving people jobs, but also increasing migration attraction now that we're really properly fighting for the mass migrations. Although it looks like we're getting all of them. To be fair, all of these ones we're getting, they're almost certainly ones that are ineligible for going to the USA. What is the USA discriminating? What are you doing, dog? What's up with you? Cultural exclusion? Okay. Still should be getting quite a few. I don't know why we already have a ton, but we're going to continue to get even more migration. So we have this existential war here for the UK, and these existential wars, basically revolutions, seem to be the primary spot where you can actually get reverse sways in now these days, with kind of the nerfs on how things are working. And we see that we could sway in either side for a bankroll. They won't accept a bankroll, but minus 125 is enough that if we click this and then side on the other side, we could do either the current Great Britain, with which we have 19 relations, or the proletarian Great Britain, whom we don't have any sort of relations, but they have a government that's much more in alignment with our own. I think that our lobby, and we'll take a quick look at our lobby, is not going to appreciate. We have this pro-British Lithuanian Society lobby. I think that I have to imagine they won't be happy with us siding, so maybe we get negative approval on the armed forces, but the armed forces isn't too big a thing. They're not too mad anyways, so I think we're going to go for this here, and I think we're going to side with the proletarian revolt just because their government is a little bit more in our favor, and we don't have to do the reverse sway. They recognize that they don't win this war without some help, and so they're more than willing to give up the bag. over an extended period of time to us in exchange for help. So we'll send over a pretty big army to be able to help manage that, and we should be able to win this war without too much discomfort, unless France does something like side with their mortal enemy when they have like the British League. So not expecting to see too much of that, really hoping we don't see it, because we're currently getting bankroll. For the record, the bankroll in terms of amount is 200k from the French Republic, so that is why we have been able to go up to, 600 construction here as we finish those few construction sectors. Also, just wanted to note that some of these states are really, really good. I'm not 100% sure if they've been buffed. I think that some of these states in this, I think Russia's generally got a rework, and that these states have gotten buffed, but I'm not 100% sure. The really good two being Warzawa and Lublin, both of which I think allow you to slot in the company. Now, we're not slotting in the company right now until we get another company slot, because currently we have 4 out of 3 companies because we swapped off of laissez-faire. We would have to get rid of 2 companies in order to slot in a new one, but we do have NAT spreading to us in the society tech, this right here, so that'll be in just a couple weeks. What we will end up doing with that is we will slot out I think we will slot out this company, the Polish-Lithuanian Metalworks Combine, which is giving army offense and tools plus X, and instead we will slot in the very, very nice, let's scroll down for it. I said let's scroll down for it. Lil Pop company, which is going to give us motor industry throughput. I think that this is one of the best tooling companies in the game. I think it's probably... It might be the best tooling one in the game. I think that I like the Belgian one a little bit better. Speaking of Belgium, we sided with the Proletarian Revolt, so they're our subject now. Although it's looking grim on the actually annexing some of our subjects front. Things are starting to get a little bit better. Austria, notably, we have our economy is tied together quite a bit because we built a bit in Austria. They never revved after we did that. We've reduced autonomy. They're a puppet now. And so we're hoping to annex them before the end of the run for a nice big Polish-Lithuania, kind of comprising this entire chunk. I'm not sure if that's the best expenditure of infamy, but... it does look pretty nice. And also, I think that we're really going to start hoovering off their pops a little bit more than we were before, considering the amount of migration attraction we have. We could take a look at... I think that they do not build as many universities and... the universities and the art academies as we do. And this is what's giving us 20% migration attraction, these 2 buildings. So if we take a look at their pop... Yeah, their pop's kind of been even. I'm expecting to see it start to go down now over time. We'll kind of see how that shakes out. We get a little secession movement. It do be like that sometimes. But I think that, we just kind of win this war with the UK, and we'll have another 200,000 bankroll. So maybe go up to 800 construction after this. Alright, so Great Britain has now been annexed by the Proletarian Revolt, which is genial and cordial towards us, kind of a little bit of a soft reset in terms of what's going on, and they're kind of willing to accept a lot of agreements. So is France. So I think now might be a pretty good time to call it an episode, because we're not sure if we want some of these relationships with them. Been kind of keen on trying out the alliances and see if they're kind of okay, but we kind of think that they're not, and it's probably better just to take a whole bunch of gold from them in terms of Diplopact. There was a bug with the defensive pact that I reported. Russia, despite having a defensive pact, was able to side against us in a war when we were the defenders, so that was a little bit weird. But things are going extremely well. This episode we formed Poland-Lithuania, and we also really got cranked up from 2 bankrolls, and so that's really going to allow us to... it's just a different game now in terms of what's going on. Our GDP doesn't say we're the #1, but it's not going to be too long until that's the case, because we have nearly double the construction we did at the start of the episode. Although we do have to micro it kind of quite a bit because we're on Council Republic. We're also coming, we're just coming up super hard in every metric. You can see the population's really starting to take off as a result of us getting that mass migration attraction, which is going to be nice. We still have on on our power block. We still have construction. We've got another principal. I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be upgrading internal trade just so we can get more convoys. And the company throughput bonus is also going to be really nice. Why don't we just take a look at what we're getting from there in some of these places, because we have, for example, these iron mines, massive throughput. We're getting 45% from company. We're getting the base value, which is multiplied by we're getting 30% from our two companies, and then an additional 10% from a grand coalition, and so we're just ending up getting an enormous percent from that. This isn't even a level 51. If it was a level 51, it'd be even higher, so we have really good iron. So I think that part of our strategy is it's not really super cheap in our market right now. We are spamming a bunch in the queue, but we're going to tank the price and try and export it because it's going to be super efficient for us. So that's kind of what we'll be doing economically moving forward. We don't have a lot of stuff built up to level 51. Our economy is relatively bare bones, but we have all this construction and all this pop, so we're gonna pop off. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and other than that, have a nice Poland-Lithuanian borders. Yeah, so much better than last time. We don't have this massive hole in the middle of Russian land with us having a circle around them.